Welcome back to this week's edition of Good Morning KU Sports. I'm your host, Adeline Rabel, and we have a packed show for you all today. Zach and Ryan kick things off hosting a college football roundtable discussion, followed by Tyler with an exciting feature on KU Club Pickleball. Ulicia will keep us in the loop with the latest updates on NIL. Later in the show, Kaden will dive into the NBA, breaking down the top 5 teams on the season so far. And Olivia has your Thanksgiving week weather forecast. But first, let's jump straight into tomorrow's game against Colorado. Jack and Ryan are here to give us a full football preview. What are your predictions, guys?
Thanks, Addie. The Kansas Jayhawks look to keep their winning streak alive when they host number 16 Colorado tomorrow. Ryan, what are your initial thoughts about this game?
Yeah, it should be fun. Both teams are coming off huge wins. We saw KU finally get maybe what could be a season-defining win on the road in Provo against BYU. Colorado smacked Utah, albeit with a backup quarterback, but still, the Buffs have been red hot this year. It'll be fun. So, just looking at the big picture in the Big 12, KU winning this game would throw an absolute wrench in everything. So, how do you think this would play such a big role in the Big 12 picture?
Yeah, right now Colorado has looked, at least in my eyes, as the most dominant team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Kansas has an opportunity to do something that they did last week. Upset the best team in the conference. How did KU do that last week?
Just running the ball, shortening the game, not giving up the big play, limiting the Cougar offense, and just defense finally made big stops when they needed to at the right times. It's something we haven't seen this year, especially on the road. So that was nice to see. Well, yeah. So what are your thoughts on this game?
I think you hit it on the head. The defense needs to step up. Something that they kind of didn't do the weeks before and the weeks to start the season, but something that they have really been focusing on the previous 2 weeks. It's going to be very important to slow down Shedeur Sanders. Take a look at this graphic that shows his stats. He has had an absolute heater of a season. 3,222 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and is looking like a potential top 10 NFL draft pick.
Yeah.
He could be arguably the best quarterback in college football right now. What does Kansas need to do to slow him down?
Well, you said it all. It's going to be a tough task. I do think Sanders is the best quarterback prospect of this draft class. Slow him down. The DBs have to play their best game of the season. We saw Kobe Bryant. He's really confident that this is the biggest game that he's played all year, and I think he has to really step up. The DBs, Mellow Dots, and the linebackers have to keep these elite wide receivers in check. You guys got guys like Travis Hunter, who's the Heisman favorite right now. You got Will Shepard, who's been coming on as of late, and Jimmy Horn. That trio has just been red hot the whole year. Defense, secondary, they all have to step up. Mm-hmm. It's mandatory in this game.
You bring up Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is incredible. We have a catch right here from Travis Hunter. It is spectacular what he's able to do with the ball.
Yeah.
What a grab. He is right now looking like the Heisman favorite. Potential first overall pick in the NFL draft. Is he the best player in college football? And if so, how is Kobe Bryant and Mello Dotson going to slow him down tomorrow?
Well, do I think he's the best player in college football? I do not know if he's one of one in college football this season. I mean, Ashton Jeanty has a pretty strong argument, but I do think that he is definitely one of the best players, and slowing him down is going to be a tall task. We'll see. I mean, no one's really kept him in check in the Big 12 this year, so just realistically, it's going to be tough. Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think they're going to slow him down?
I think slowing down Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders is a hard task for anybody.
Yeah.
Just ask every other team in the Big 12. Do they get it done tomorrow? I don't think they do. I have Colorado winning this game. How about you?
I really want KU to win. I think they have a good shot, honestly. The game's at home. It's possible. It's a very winnable game. Lance Leipold has reminded everyone that even in a down year, they can still rally the troops together and get a big win like they did last week. That's been great to see. I do have Colorado coming away with the win here. I just think, that offense, I don't know if we're going to be able to, shorten the game as much as I'd like. I think a shootout is probably the most likely outcome, and I don't think we're going to be able to keep up for 4 quarters. So I got the Buffs winning and putting themselves in prime position to not only make the Big 12 title game in Arlington, but win it and punch their ticket into the college football playoff.
Like you said, it's going to be a huge game tomorrow. Game kicks off at 2:30 p.m. at Arrowhead Stadium. That is all we have. Now we'll hand it over to Tyler to give us a sneak peek on KU Club Pickleball.
Pickleball has taken the world by storm. Colleges from across the country started forming collegiate pickleball teams. So some KU students wanted in on the action.
You know, we started off as a bunch of cliques. People would randomly play on Monday, people would randomly play on Thursday, and now you've got the best players at the University of Kansas playing together on a competitive team.
There had already been a pickleball club at KU, but they only played against other KU students. Co-presidents Charles Lockman and Justin Brown wanted to change that.
And, you know, I heard about these competitive tournaments, I heard about these opportunities, and I said I have to bring that to KU.
The team will start their play as one of the newest members of the National Collegiate Pickleball Association, or the NCPA.
I was really happy to hear that there's a more competitive angle for it. And so with the team and the travels, the competitiveness is really what drew me to it.
The team practices 3 days a week at Lions Park. Some players play strictly to win, others just enjoy playing in college.
And I love playing pickleball with my family, so it's like a little glimpse of home life.
The team currently has 26 members, 15 guys and 11 girls.
The KU Club Pickleball team is in its first year of existence. They already have plans to travel to Chicago, Vegas, and Dallas. They have their season start January 25th, and they even come and play a tournament in Lawrence in April. For Good Morning KU Sports, I'm Tom Ruindo.
Thanks, Tyler, for the awesome feature. My aunt got me into pickleball last summer, and I definitely understand the hype behind it. After the break, Zach and Ryan will be discussing all things college football.
Yeah, I always just clap in this part.
This is where everyone's talking amongst themselves. Do you know how to do it? Do you know how to do it?
Are we supposed to smile?
When do we start? Somebody over here already started.
Can we talk about the piccolo part? It's the most complicated one.
It is.
If you listen, you're doing it when the band's not playing.
You have to tell me when it starts. I still don't know.
Here we go. Just clapping now.
No humps.
Nailed it.
I practiced this morning.
Mine was just two people.
It has a right and a wrong way of doing it. No. Wrong.
I like my way better.
I don't know how to do the end.
It's just.
I don't know the head.
It's hard by yourself.
Morning KU Sports. My name's Zach, and that's Ryan here with me. And it's hard to believe it's already week 13 of the college football season. So let's take a look at the new college football playoff bracket for this week. Now there's a lot of interesting matchups on here, and some surprises, Boise State jumping into that 4th spot with the bye. Ryan, what's one matchup that we could see with this bracket that you really like, that you think is going to be an interesting one?
One that I really have my eye on is Ole Miss versus Texas. I think that would be such a fun game. You know, both teams have great defenses. They both have hit or miss offenses. They've had pretty solid quarterback play throughout most of the season, albeit not throughout every game. And they also have two of the best offensive minds as head coach, you know, in Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin. So that'd be a really fun game, I think.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm going to pick Georgia versus Penn State in the first round. Now, this game would be in Happy Valley. Penn State's the higher-ranked team. They've got one of the best home field advantages in college football. This game would be electric. Now, Penn State only has one loss to the really good Ohio State team. But I think Georgia's a better team than they're getting credit for. They've got 3 ranked wins against Texas, Clemson, and most recently Tennessee. Now, obviously, they do have 2 losses, but those are to 2 good teams who are both in the playoff right now, Ole Miss and Alabama. So I think this would be a good game, and I think Penn State's home field advantage would make it even more exciting.
That would be such a great game as well. You know, this week in particular, it's a huge week in the Big 12 race. You know, you got Colorado, Kansas, like we just previewed, BYU at Arizona State. It's going to be a great weekend. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, well, I really want to point out Arizona State BYU. I think this is a great matchup. BYU coming off their first loss at home against Kansas. That's a tough one. And Arizona State coming off a big win at K-State. I think momentum's a big thing, and I think Arizona State at home this weekend, I think they can pull it off against BYU, and that would put them as the front runner in the Big 12. And I think that would hurt BYU's chances, and they would have to hope for a Colorado loss at Kansas, I think. What about you?
I completely agree. Kenny Dillingham has done such a great job with this Arizona State program in only his second season as Sun Devils head coach. I do think they win tomorrow, and it's been a pleasant surprise with guys like Cam Scatterbo really coming on, and Sam Levitt's been great at quarterback all season. It's been great for the Sun Devils. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. So the matchup everyone's talking about: Indiana, Ohio State in Columbus. What are your original thoughts about this game?
Well, first off, I want to get off my chest that I hate the fact this is a noon game. I really think Ohio State deserves to have a night game at some point at home. It sucks, but it'll be really interesting to see how the strong Indiana defensive front will attack Ohio State's decimated O-line. The big injury to Seth McLaughlin this week really sucks for the Buckeyes. It's going to be interesting to see how they reshuffle that offensive line again.
I agree. I think this is going to be a closer game than some people are making it out to be. Indiana obviously has had an easier schedule, and that's been a lot of the conversations. And people think that this might just be a blowout. I think it'll be closer. I think Indiana can make it a close game. I do think Ohio State's going to win the game. That's my prediction. But I think Indiana still can make this a close game. Now, if they lose, what do you think that means for Indiana in the whole playoff scenario?
If they lose, I still think they should be in. It's been a hot topic, especially this week. I do think they'll get in. They smacked everyone they played except for Michigan 2 weeks ago. Only loss would be to Ohio State in Columbus. The strength of schedule argument, I get it, but a lot in this particular year, a lot of SEC teams have 2 losses, and they've all struggled with mediocre opponents. We saw Tennessee lose to Arkansas. We saw Texas A&M get blown out at South Carolina. We saw Alabama lose to Vandy. It's just this particular year, I think the Hoosiers do have a seat at the table, and I think they'd get in even with the loss.
I totally agree. I actually want to point out BYU for a minute. I mean, BYU was ranked number 6th. They were undefeated. They were looking good, and they lost to Kansas at home. Kansas, a 3-6 team at the time, and BYU fell, but they're still at number 12. And you could argue they've had a tougher schedule. But I think if Indiana falls on the road to number 2 Ohio State, I think they're still worthy of being in the conversation. They've won every other game, so I think they should still be in, even if it's at a lower spot. Now, if it's a blowout, that could make things different because the committee is obviously going to decide who are the best teams and who should be in. And if they get blown out, that could change some minds on that. But I still think Indiana deserves a spot even with a loss.
Yeah, and for my predictions on this game, it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see if Curtis Rourke, who I think might be the most underrated quarterback in the country, to see how if he can lead the Hoosiers to a win with that dynamic passing game. OSU DBs need to step up. Denzel Burke, Davis Adigbonosa needs to play their best game this season so far to get the win. And obviously, it sounds like a broken record at this point, but massive for Ryan Day. Buckeyes have not been to Indy in 4 years. This would be a massive, massive win for them.
All right, that's all we have for you today. Now we're going to send it over to Ulicia for an update on NIL.
Thanks, guys. On Tuesday, November 19th, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signed an executive order that allows colleges in the state to directly pay their student athletes for their name, image, and likeness. Now, this is a big deal in the world of NIL and paying college athletes. This is leaning on the slope of possibly seeing student athletes as employees in the near future. As you're aware, student athletes can earn revenue based on their name, image, and likeness from third-party sources such as collectives or through sponsorships. Based on the mechanics of the executive order, schools cannot use funds provided by the state of Ohio, and the executive order will expire when the settlement comes into full operational effect, which is said to be effective immediately. Current states with similar orders in place include California, Virginia, and Georgia, which were put into effect earlier this year. Consistently, we are seeing major renovations to the basic concepts of this new and growing NIL industry as a whole. Just 2 days ago, Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe took to Instagram to showcase his most recent deal with Armani Beauty. The redshirt junior adds to his existing NIL partnerships with Panini America and Improbable Media to create an NIL valuation of $2.3 million, according to On3. In terms of making NIL history, Julian Juju Lewis has announced his decommitment from USC, an official commitment to coach Prime in Colorado in a unique way. While going on the Pat McAfee show just yesterday, the Georgia native shared his future plans while displaying a large autographed trading card from his longtime partner, Leaf Trading Cards. In the spring, the trading card brand will be expanding their relationship with Lewis to be exclusive in nature, being the first time in NIL history a decommitment and commitment has been made displaying an NIL partnership as well. The 17-year-old already has an extensive list of brand partnerships, including Aloe Yoga and Travis Scott's Cactus Jack, and is expected to add many more once he hits Colorado's field. That's all I have on recent NIL coverage. I'll pass it over to Caden.
Thank you, Alicia. Now, the NBA is 17 games into the regular season, and there's been a lot of highlights so far. The main topic this year has been injuries. From Luka to Lillard to Holmgren, there's been players down all over the league. However, injuries are a part of the game, and teams have to find a way to win without their stars. Some manage that better than others this year. And now I'm going to give you my top 5 teams in the NBA this season. Coming in at number 5, I have the Houston Rockets, a surprisingly competitive squad who I didn't think would be the top 5 standing at all this year. The team has luckily escaped the injury bug and has managed to win 11 games so far this year. Jalen Green is finally becoming the player the Rockets thought they were getting when they drafted him. Green is averaging just under 20 points and 5 rebounds a game. Mini Jokic, Alex Şengün, is adding 18 points of his own. The Rockets are one of the only teams in the NBA who don't rely on 1 or 2 stars every single game, and so far it's worked for them. They have a tough stretch of games coming up, and it'll be interesting to see how they match up against those teams. For my number 4 pick, I have the Denver Nuggets. Though they are only 8-5 on the season, they've shown how good they can be when everything clicks. Westbrook has finally found a home where he can play his game, and it happens to be alongside the NBA MVP, Jokic. Westbrook just secured his 200th career triple-double, a feat that has never been accomplished before in NBA history. Murray and Gordon are a little banged up right now, but by the time they return to the court, the Nugs are going to be a very dangerous team. They already have some notable wins against the Thunder and Warriors this year. My third best team is a young core out of OKC. Holmgren's hip injury definitely leaves the Thunder fans praying for a speedy recovery, but the Thunder will be just fine. Hardenstein and Caruso return from injury, and if they can hover around the 4 or 5 seed until Holmgren gets back, they will be in perfect shape come playoffs. SGA is putting up, again, MVP numbers with 29 points and 5 rebounds a game. His right-hand man, Jalen Williams, averaging just below 22 points in the season, is looking to make his first All-Star game in year 3. The Thunder have every weapon a coach could want on the court, including the torture chamber hovering around the court at all times. While they are my top team right now, the Thunder will be the best squad in the NBA come April. The defending champs come in at number 2. The boys in Boston are not messing around, and they have been hooping. Tatum is actually playing, and he has been electric. The frontrunner MVP has been torching defenses all season long, along with Jaylen Brown and Derek White. The scariest thing about the Celtics is that they don't have their big man back yet. The Unicorn is set to return in a couple weeks, and when they add him back, I think they will be the favorites in the East. And for my top pick, and no one's surprised, come the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers, but seriously, who thought that this team would be 16-1 through 17 games this season? Mitchell looks like a young D-Wade when he's on the court, and Garland is finally shooting the ball well this year. Jarrett Allen has been holding his own in the paint all season and showing the NBA world that the lights are not too bright for him. The Cavs are poised to continue this historic streak, and it'll be interesting to see how long it'll be until they come back down to earth, if they ever do. Next up is Addie previewing the show's later segments.
Thanks, Kaden. I definitely agree with you, even after the Cavaliers just suffered their first loss past Tuesday to the Celtics. They seem to be an unstoppable team, though. After the break, Olivia will finish the show off with your Thanksgiving weather.
Good morning, KU. Welcome back to Good Morning KU Sports. Now, we've had some colder weather this weekend, but we're finally going to see a little bit of a change in that and a little bit of a reprieve. It's going to be a little bit warmer this weekend as we just experienced some upper 60s, again, more of that fall weather. So we're also going to go ahead and break down the last home football game forecast, and we'll even talk about some chances for some rain and snow near Thanksgiving time, but more on that later. For now, taking a look outside right now, this is at West Topeka. As you can see, it's mostly sunny skies out there. There's really not much clouds out there at all today. In Lawrence, it's currently around 38 degrees. Winds are out of the north-northwest at about 6 miles per hour, so it is a little bit chilly. You're definitely going to want a jacket as you're walking to class this morning, and we're going to see a little bit of a warming trend this afternoon. It might peak out at about 50 degrees later on this afternoon. Winds are going to remain relatively calm throughout the rest of the day, and we'll see a little bit of an increase in clouds, but for the most part, it's going to be just a little bit chilly, but a relatively nice afternoon if you're out and about today. Now for tonight, we're going to be looking at a low of around 30. It's going to be mostly clear skies, and the winds are going to remain light and variable, so while it will be a little bit cold, weather is not really going to be an impact at all for the evening. Now looking ahead at the football game tomorrow, it really is going to be another great day for football. Temperatures are going to be in the lower 50s around the pregame time if you're attending any of those activities. Now around kickoff, we're going to be at about 58 degrees, and we're going to see probably the high top out around 60, but then as the sun sets around the fourth quarter, we're going to be dipping back into those lower 50s. But overall, a great day for football. Now we also have another big game happening this week. It's Kansas versus Duke out in Las Vegas. So if you're traveling for that game on Tuesday, you're also going to be experiencing some pretty good weather. For any pregame festivities you're going to for that game, we're looking at about the mid to upper 60s temperature-wise. And as the sun sets, we're going to be dipping back into the lower 60s throughout the rest of the game. So you shouldn't have any weather impacts as you're leaving that event. Now we do have a chance for some rain and snow building in across much of the state Wednesday. This is going to be during the day, so expect some possible showers throughout the afternoon and into the evening, and then even some snow possibly Wednesday night and into Thursday morning. So be prepared. There might be a chance for snow impacting any of your activities Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Now, that includes the women's volleyball game against BYU. So if you're attending that game, it is going to be 39 degrees, so while it may possibly be showers originally, there is a chance for some wintry precipitation to start to creep in if you're leaving that game a little bit later. So be prepared for that. If you're attending, make sure to dress appropriately and just know what's going to be happening with the weather. Stay up to date. A lot can change between now and then. And going ahead and taking a look at our 7-day forecast. Again, once we have that warming trend this weekend, we're really going to cool right back off into the mid-40s throughout the early parts of next week. And then we're going to start to see those showers and possible winter precipitation really creep in on Thursday right for your Thanksgiving time. So be prepared for that as you go home or you stay here for your Thanksgiving break. Addie?
And that's all for today's show. Our crew wishes you a fabulous Thanksgiving break. And just as a reminder, we will not have a show next Friday, so we will see you all 2 weeks from today. Make sure to catch Playmakers at noon and run it back on Monday at 1. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, Brock Chalk.